Third key finding. There is broad bipartisan support for designating the Gold Butte area as a national monument. Let me show people a little bit more about this. Gold Butte, 350,000 acres of land in rural southern Nevada. There's an effort spearheaded in part by Harry Reid, and you mentioned it before, Jenna Morton, to have it designated as a national monument before President Obama leaves office. Look at the numbers here for designating as a national monument. 71% of those polls support the potential designation, only 11% oppose. 78% of Democrats support it, 5% oppose. Look at Republicans, 59% and 22% opposed. Now, Annette Magnus, you know I'm never the kind of person to throw cold water on something, but let me just try here. Maybe people don't understand what a national monument designation is and the restrictions that it would place on this land, because those who are opposed to this oppose the restrictions that come with a national monument, right?
I disagree with that wholeheartedly. We recently had Basin and Range National Monument that was just designated. We had Tule Springs that was recently designated. I think people expect to see when they go out to these extremely beautiful places that it's being well maintained and it's being protected. And in Gold Butte right now, that's just simply not happening. There are efforts being done every single day to maintain the area, but it's simply not enough. And that designation is the necessary next step to making sure that we protect this land for future generations.
Why does it have to be designated as a national monument?
Well, we've tried the legislative route, we've tried other routes, and we've been working on this for 13 years, and nothing has happened. And we've tried going the bipartisan route, and that hasn't happened either. And so now this is the logical next step: is if we can't get it done legislatively, we have to go down the national monument route with the Antiquities Act. This is a special place. There's all kinds of cultural monuments out there. There's Native American artifacts out there. There's so many beautiful things out there that people should go out and enjoy, but they need, the available resources. They need those areas designated so they can go out and enjoy those spaces, but do it responsibly and make sure that they're not damaging the land.
What do you think that means, Jenna Morton, do it responsibly?
Well, what that means is when we designate this area in Gold Butte as a national monument, or when President Obama does, which we hope that he does, there will be federal funds in place to actually manage those lands and make sure that they're being used responsibly. Talking about doing this for 13 years, the Taylor Grazing Act was passed in 1934. So we've been trying to protect these lands through legislation since that time, and it hasn't worked. And part of what we're protecting is the natural area, but we're also protecting our ability to use the human beings to use those areas. So we're protecting species and plants, which are really, the whole area is being denuded, and it's become a desert without life in certain areas. And so we're trying to protect that from happening. We're also protecting it for human use, which means, in economic terms, outdoor recreation. The outdoor recreation industry in the country is over $600 billion. And in this state, it's been measured at about $14.7 billion, which equates to about 147,000 jobs that are related to designating sites as national monuments. Not specifically that, outdoor recreation in general, but counties where sites have been designated as national monument show increased per capita income in those counties as opposed to counties that don't have a national monument in the county. So there is real economic opportunity, which is because people want to use these lands for recreation. So we're protecting it and managing it for plants and animals, but also for human beings to use responsibly.
And I want to point out, too, this isn't just a democratic thing that, the Antiquities Act has been used by Republicans and Democrats alike. This is something that has bipartisan support over generations. Theodore Roosevelt was the one who brought this into fruition.
You guys always bring up Teddy to try to make
I have a dog named after Teddy. Yeah. I believe in him.
But it's
important to bring up because Republicans can support public lands. And this shows in this poll that this is a nonpartisan issue.
But this
People across party lines support protecting access to public lands.
I remember the long list that was put out after Basin and Range of all the presidents who have used the Antiquities Act. But this fits right in the wheelhouse of Republicans who say, you know what, this is just another example of the president, you being an imperial president, overreaching because you guys have given up on the legislative process. He's going to use this act that most people have never heard of, the Antiquities Act, to try to subvert the will of some of these folks out there in rural Nevada.
And my answer to that, John, is this is just another example of inaction by Congress and a do-nothing GOP at the top who has refused to act, even though we've tried time and time again to work with our delegation, both parties. And now they're doing nothing, and they're sitting on their hands, and this area is being used, it's being abused, and now something has to be done. And that's what we're asking President Obama to do, is protect this very important space in our state.